If you want better performing ads, then you need to make better hooks. So by the end of this video, you are going to have all the tools that you need to build out better hooks for your ads. But what I'm not going to do is just give you a list of hooks that you can copy and paste and use in your ads, but you don't truly understand why they work. What you first need to understand is the psychology behind a hook and why they are so effective. So you can take this knowledge along with the frameworks within this video, apply them to your fitness business and make even better ads. Alongside the psychological theory that I'm going to provide to you, I'm going to give you 6 frameworks that are absolutely crushing it right now in the fitness industry. This way, you'll have everything that you need to go and build out better ad hooks and start getting more leads at a cheaper price. And we know that all of these hooks work because these are the exact same hooks that we have used to generate hundreds, if not thousands of leads for our fitness clients. So with that said, let's see what makes a good ad hook. So this is how you create good hooks for your fitness ads so you can grow your fitness business. This is going to apply to gym owners, small group training gyms, online coaches, PTs, anyone within the fitness industry. This is going to work for you. But before we dive into the actual specific ad hook frameworks, we need to understand what makes a good hook. So a hook has one job, and this is to create a curiosity loop in the prospect's mind. If you think about it, your prospects are just scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. They're scrolling through at about 100 miles per hour, and you need to give them a good reason to just stop, take a minute and look back and think, what have I just seen? So the way we actually get them to stop scrolling is through contrast or some sort of pattern interrupt, something that they're not expecting to see on their feed. This is why following trends can sometimes be a bit of a downfall for ads, because if you follow trends, you then just become part of the noise that is on people's feed, whereas we want to make sure that we're standing out. So like I say, the way we do that is through contrast or pattern interrupts. So here are some examples of pattern interrupts. So you can either leverage customer pain points, you can challenge deep-rooted beliefs, you can use shocking or unexpected imagery, or some sort of grand statements or statistics. So you'll be able to see that leveraging customer pain points and challenging deep-rooted beliefs are in bold. That's because those are the 2 that we're going to cover in this video, and these are the 2 most effective pattern interrupts that we have found. So we're going to cover these in detail, and I'm going to show you examples of how these work. But first, just to understand why these work so well, particularly for fitness businesses, is because people that you're trying to get in contact with, people that you're trying to sign up for memberships, programs, coaching, whatever, already have some sort of experience with fitness. They've tried it before, perhaps it hasn't worked. And for that very reason, they do often have deep-rooted pain points or very deep-rooted beliefs. They have preconceived notions about what actually works and what doesn't. So when you actually challenge those deep-rooted beliefs or those preconceived notions, this actually acts as an extremely powerful hook because these beliefs and these pain points are so strong inside our prospects. So if we're looking to actually build out these hooks, there's sort of 2 parts to a very good hook. We have the pattern interrupt technique, which we've just covered, and then we need some sort of curiosity statement, which we can see in orange, and that's what creates a good hook. So the pattern interrupt technique acts as the scroll stopper. That's what actually gets people to stop and look at your ad, and that's the hook that hooks people in. However, it's not going to be an effective hook if we can't give them a good enough reason to actually stick around and read the rest of the copy or watch the rest of the video. So that's where the curiosity statement comes in. So we basically give them a reason to stop, and then we give them a reason to carry on viewing. And that's what creates a good hook. So I'll show you some examples of this in action. So if we're using deep-rooted beliefs, or if we're challenging deep-rooted beliefs, we can see us doing that in the purple. So most people think they need to spend 2 hours in the gym to see results. Okay, we have challenged a deep-rooted belief because the way that we phrase that is we're about to say something to the contrary. But then we can see the curiosity statement in orange, where we say, but the truth is, our members are getting better results with just 30 minutes 3 times a week. So here, we've challenged deep-rooted beliefs where people think that they need to spend hours on end in the gym because in the past they've spent hours in the gym and barely seen results. And then we've opened a curiosity loop by saying, our members are getting better results with just 30 minutes 3 times a week. So obviously these people want to know what it is that they're doing in these 30 minutes 3 times a week to actually get results, because they want to be able to get results with this minimal amount of effort. Hopefully we can see here how that's going to create a good hook, particularly for the people that we're trying to get in contact with. And then an example if we're using pain points. So tired of hiding under baggy clothes. So obviously this is a pattern interrupt, because for people who are maybe feeling a little bit self-conscious or aren't the most confident in their body, who are experiencing right now the feeling of needing to hide under baggy clothes, maybe in the gym or maybe just in general, this is going to hit home for them. It's going to strike a nerve, and it's going to make people stop scrolling. And then the curiosity statement comes in and it says, we allow women to not only crush self-confidence issues, but they become the most confident in the room. So what people want to know is how they do that. How can I go from being very low confidence, very self-conscious of how I look, to becoming the most confident in the room? We've opened that curiosity loop. People then want to understand how people are doing this. Now, one thing that I want to make really clear when it comes to your pattern interrupt technique, when we are challenging deep-rooted beliefs or when we are using pain points, these are only going to be effective if we are touching on very relevant, very real, deep-rooted beliefs or pain points. So the key here is to have a very good understanding of the people that you're trying to get in front of, or the people that you're trying to hook in, because by using deep pain points or deep-rooted beliefs that only they have, that's how we're going to be able to pre-qualify these people, because we're only speaking about pain points that they want to solve, or we're only speaking about deep-rooted beliefs that they want broken. But you'll be able to understand that in more detail as we go through the examples. So we've sort of gone through the psychology here. This is more of the theory. Okay, but now we're going to get into the actual frameworks, and this is more of the practical, and these are the real life examples. So the first hook framework is the demographic hook. So this is currently the highest performing hook type for fitness ads, and the whole point of this is you directly call out your specific audience in the hook. So like I've just said, we need to speak directly to the people that we want to be working with, and that's how we hook them in. So some examples here: attention busy mums who can't find time to work out, or this is for men over 40 who've tried everything to lose their gut. So obviously we can see here that we are using labels like busy mums or men over 40 to attract our ideal customers. Now obviously you need to insert a label that attracts your ideal customers. So if you're a women's only gym, you need to make sure that you're having women in your headline, or mums. If you want to work with busy professionals or company executives, you need to mention that in your headline, because you need to call out your specific demographic. So that's the demographic hook, and that has been working really well for us. Another way that we can call out demographics, which I'll actually include in here now, is location. Okay, I'm not going to write out a headline, but basically if you can say calling people of and then insert the location that you are at, that's going to be a really good way to attract the people that you want to attract, because obviously you're not interested in speaking to people that are 20, 30, 40 miles away, because they're not going to come to your gym or they're not going to come to your facility. So if we are bound by location and we do have a physical location, then using that to our advantage by calling the people in that location out within this demographic hook, that's going to also be really effective. Next, we have the transformation hook. So this hook focuses on speed and visible change. Okay, so this is perfect for fitness businesses because most people are coming to us for some sort of change, either in their health or the way they look. So some examples of this is how this 40-year-old man or dad lost 30 pounds in 60 days without giving up his favorite foods. Okay, so we can see here that we're sort of using a demographic hook in a way, because we're calling out 42-year-old dads, because that's going to attract people who are in the same boat. We're also then talking about the results that we've got. So that's the transformation that they've actually gone on. That's the transformation hook. But then we've also opened up curiosity here without giving up favorite foods. So we can see here we've got a very good call out. We've spoken about the transformation that people want to go on. That's our hook. And then we've opened up a curiosity loop by saying without giving up the foods he loves, or giving up his favorite foods. So hopefully you can see now how these are actually very effective at getting people drawn in literally just a matter of a few words. Next, we have the contrarian hook. So this is where you directly challenge conventional fitness wisdom, or just the status quo of fitness. Some examples would be: forget everything you've been told about fat loss. Cardio is actually making you fatter. If we're looking to help people lose weight, and perhaps they're already on their fitness journey, but they're doing it by themselves and they're killing themselves on the treadmill or going out on runs or whatever, and they see a headline that's saying everything you've been told about fat loss is a lie, cardio is actually making you fatter, or something to that effect, that's going to snap people in on that. It's going to grab their attention, because they are going through the pain right now of killing themselves on the treadmill, going out for runs that they don't want to go on. They want to be certain that that's actually going to get them the results that they're after. And if this headline basically says doing what you're doing is not going to get you the results that you want, that's going to hook people in. So that's the contrarian hook. We basically challenge conventional fitness wisdom. Now, of course, one thing that I want to note here, you don't want to make grand statements or go against things that actually work. Okay, so we all know that having a balanced diet will make you healthier. We all know eating in a calorie deficit will help you lose fat. So obviously don't just tell lies, don't just spread misinformation. That is one thing that a lot of people in the fitness industry are doing, because this hook is so powerful, and they know by making statements that really go against the grain in terms of how people change their bodies, lose weight, get healthier and all of that, they know that that's going to get attention. They know it's going to get clicks. So use this properly. Don't lie, don't spread misinformation. But if we can use a contrarian hook effectively, then that's going to be really good. So the next one is the how do I know if hook. So this hook directly addresses the questions already in the prospect's mind. This hook requires a really good understanding of your audience and the actual things that are going on in their mind before they join or once they've just joined. So some examples is, how do I know if my workout routine is actually working? Here are the 3 signs to look for. Hopefully you can see here, if someone is genuinely thinking this, then that is going to be a huge pattern interrupt, because they're thinking, I've literally just been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks and I'm doubting whether my workout routine is actually effective or not. And there's someone here basically giving me 3 signs that I need to look for. Or the next one is, how do I know if I'm eating too much protein? That might be a genuine concern for a lot of your potential customers. So if you can address that in your ads, then you're only attracting the people that you're looking to work with, which is ideal. Your average Joe, or someone who's not interested in health and fitness, or isn't in a position to start spending money on coaching programs, memberships, challenges, they might not be worried about how much protein they're eating. That might not even come into their mind. So by using very specific how do I know if hooks, we basically pre-qualify the people that are going to click on it, because we know that people who are going to click on ads talking about how much protein they're eating are going to be people that are concerned with health and fitness and are more likely to be in a position to actually invest in their health and fitness by buying your program, your service, your membership, whatever it may be. But then you can sort of see at the end here, we've got these curiosity loops being opened by, here are the 3 signs to look for, or this simple test will tell you if you are eating too much protein or not, or not enough. But hopefully you can see here that how do I know if, this acts as the pattern interrupt, and the statement after acts as the curiosity loop being opened. Next, the go against tradition hook. Okay, so this hook calls out fitness status quo and then challenges it. So this is sort of similar to the contrarian hook, but slightly different. So some examples here is, traditional gym memberships are designed to take your money, not transform your body. So say if you're a small group PT gym and you're trying to convert people who go to a normal bog standard £25 a month gym, and you're trying to get them into your sort of more small group training gym, this might be a really good way of getting people from your competitors into your facility, and you're using the go against tradition hook to do so. So another example, the old eat less move more advice is why you're still struggling to lose weight. So there might be some people out there who have a bad understanding of how to lose weight, and they have just seen everywhere eat less move more, and they're trying to action that, but in reality there's no guidance, there's no structure to their weight loss journey, and you're calling that out by this go against tradition hook. So hopefully you can see here that this is basically some sort of shocking statement that crushes limiting beliefs that people have, or this is a really good example of going at deep-rooted beliefs or preconceived notions that people have about fitness or about weight loss or getting healthier, and you're challenging it with a simple headline at the top of your ad. So these sort of act as a pattern interrupt and a curiosity loop being opened all in one, because the statement simply stops people in their tracks, but it also, they want to understand how you can say that statement. How can this be true? Okay, so people want to understand more. So finally, we have the multiple hook approach. So this is where you stack 2 to 3 hooks together to create a hook reel at the beginning of your ads. Okay, so you basically take a number of these hooks, okay, and if they work well together, you sort of push them all together into one super hook. And yeah, you need to use this carefully. What you don't want to do is sort of over explain or overdo your hook. Okay, it needs to be short, snappy, punchy, gets people in, and then you get into the value of your ad. So be careful when you use this, don't overdo the hook. But here's an example of how we could sort of bring a few of these hooks together to create a multiple hook approach. So, attention men over 40, demographic hook. The traditional approach to building muscle is actually destroying your joints. So that's the go against tradition hook. How do I know if my workout is making things worse? So then the how do I know if hook. So one thing that I would say, this might be actually, now that I'm reading it out loud, it might seem, we might want to put, how do you know if your workout is making things worse? And then at the end you might say, here are your 3 steps to understand dot dot dot, and then whatever you want it to be. But because just the way that we're speaking to them, and then we switch to a how do I know, so it's sort of like a how. It doesn't really make sense, so I've just change that around. But hopefully you can see here that we've brought a number of these hook frameworks and we've brought them together to make sort of a super hook, if you will, or the multiple hook approach. Okay, so now you understand the frameworks, but let's go through how you actually implement them into your ads. So for image ads, the key to a great image ad is by combining a visual pattern interrupt with a compelling headline. So for fitness businesses, this could be before and after transformations with an unexpected twist. So an example, he lost 45 pounds without ever counting calories, and then that's on top of a very compelling, very obvious before and after picture. Number 2 could be unusual exercise equipment or techniques that break patterns of what people expect. So perhaps this could be some sort of weird form. Someone's performing an exercise in an unconventional way, and then there's some sort of headline over that saying this simple exercise or this weird exercise helped him gain a certain amount of muscle or helped him lose a certain amount of body fat. Or finally, controversial form or technique that makes people stop and question what they're seeing. So yeah, similar to what we've just spoken about, but this is more on the controversial side, so we're not really speaking about results. We're sort of just trying to shock people. They see something, they think, what on earth is he doing? We've hooked them, we've stopped the scroll, and then we open a curiosity loop with some sort of statement. But the key thing here when it comes to image ads is we need to understand that the visual needs to work in tandem with the headline. Okay, these aren't two separate things. These must work together to create a huge amount of curiosity and interrupt patterns. Then we have video ads. For the video ads, you need to nail both the spoken hook and the visual hook in the first 3 to 5 seconds. So obviously those first 3 to 5 seconds is your opportunity to convince people whether they should carry on scrolling or actually stick around and watch the end of your ad. So if there's going to be one part of your video ad that you're going to be really, really focused on and concentrate on making it as good as you possibly can, it needs to be the first 3 to 5 seconds, because if you don't have a good hook, no one's going to watch the rest of your ad, so you're just wasting money, and all that time you spend on maybe a really nice offer or a really good call to action at the end, all of that's wasted because no one's ever going to get there because your hook is so bad. So you really need to make sure that your hooks are dialed in and they're just as polished as they possibly can be. So there are 3 options here for making a good hook on a video ad. You don't need to use all 3. However, if you can use all 3 of them effectively, then that's going to be a really good hook. But like I say, don't ruin your hook by trying to include all of these things. So the first one is start with a visual that immediately signals what the video is about. So someone working out, a transformation. The beauty of this is it just sets the context for your ad, okay? It sets the tone and people understand immediately what the topic of your ad is going to be about. So if someone's working out or it's a transformation, people know that at least this is going to be about fitness to some capacity. Number 2 is putting 3 to 5 words of text on the screen that reinforces your point. So this could be some sort of title text. If this can be like some dynamic typography, so words flying on the screen from left and right, and maybe they're moving around, they're quite bold, they're colorful, this can be really good to get people hooked in and retain them because there's so much going on and it's very dynamic and it's quite stimulating. And then number 3 is make sure that your spoken line follows one of the hook frameworks that we've just covered. Okay, so if we just scroll up, your first opening line could be something like, traditional gym memberships are designed to take your money and not transform your body. So that could be your first spoken hook that takes you about 3 to 5 seconds to say. And then your text that flies on could be something like, traditional gym memberships lie to you, or traditional memberships hold you back, or whatever. Okay, you could get quite creative with this, but that's something that you need to keep in mind. Now, for that, it might be hard to use some sort of imagery in the beginning. Okay, you might just want to keep it as you speaking, text coming on, your spoken hook, and that will be enough for a good video ad. So like I say, don't ruin your video by trying to include all 3, but if you can use all 3, then that's going to be great. And then finally, just some common mistakes that I want to make sure that you're not falling into or you're not making as a fitness business, because this can really ruin your hook. So being too generic, okay? So don't use things like want to lose weight and get in shape. Okay, this is not a hook. This is what every fitness business says. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you just become part of the noise that is on people's feeds. So you don't make yourself stand out at all. We need to make our hooks original and very effective. Number 2 is focusing on features instead of outcomes. So nobody cares about your state-of-the-art equipment or certified trainers. They care about how they'll look and feel after working with you. So yeah, if you've got a brand new bit of kit, people don't really care about that anywhere near as much as you think that they do. What they care about is what that piece of new kit is going to do for them. So what kind of results is that going to get them? How much weight is that going to help them lose? How much muscle is that going to help them put on? So that's what we need to focus on. Number 3 is not addressing objections. So your hook should acknowledge and overcome the biggest objections your prospects has. So usually time, difficulty, or past failures. So maybe not straight away in the hook if it's not appropriate, but we need to touch on objections that people might have about your service in the ad. So if your biggest objection is about time, then we need to make sure that we're mentioning, oh, our workouts are only half an hour and you only need to come 4 times a week and you will get this result. Okay, so we need to touch on that if we can in the ad, because as soon as people get advertised something, as soon as someone gets pushed something, a lot of them are going to think, what are all the reasons why I shouldn't do this? What are all the reasons why I shouldn't click on this ad? Okay, and they become very skeptical. So if we can address any of these objections that instantly pop into their mind, then it's going to be really effective, and it's going to make people click through and watch the rest of the video or read the rest of the copy if we're doing an image ad. Number 4, trying to appeal to everyone. So the more specific your hook is to your ideal client, the better it will perform. I've spoken on this in the beginning, but we need to make sure that the limiting beliefs that we're speaking about or the pain points that we're using are very specific to our ideal clients. And then number 5 is burying the lead. So don't save your best stuff for later in the ad. Front load the value and put your most compelling point right in the hook. So like I say, don't save it for later. Give them everything immediately, because no one's going to stick around to watch if you've saved it for later. They want value immediately. They want it now. They've come to sort of stimulate themselves and get a dopamine release by scrolling through short form content. So give them what they want straight away. So the difference between gyms that are really struggling and the ones that are just scaling at an insane rate is the hooks on their ads. So if you start to implement all of these 6 hook frameworks that I've gone through in this video in your own ads, then I guarantee you're going to start seeing better results from those ads. And please do remember, this isn't just about getting attention, it's about getting the right sort of attention from the right people, because those right people are most likely to become your clients. So we need to make sure that we are being very intentional and specific with our hooks. So if you want to see these hooks in action and you don't fancy building them out yourselves, I've actually created 15 image ad templates that you can download and plug and play into your fitness business. So I'm going to leave the link for those in the description below. So you're free to go and download them. Like I say, they're completely free. That's on me. So go click the link, download them and plug and play them into your ads manager, and you'll start to see a lower cost per lead. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in learning more about how to scale up your fitness business through effective marketing, click on the video on the screen now.